a vision of supremely stylish and subtly seductive flowers as seen in the hottest show gardens at the recent Chelsea Flower Show. And for happy pollinators, feasting on nectar and pollen-rich plants to their heart's content in a garden so wildlife friendly that the hedgehogs have not so much a house to hibernate in as a royal palace of a woodpile. And for the dreamiest shrubs that were also to be found this year on the plant list of Chelsea's world-class garden designers. And for Safi the rescue cat's classic on-screen nonchalance. Safi? Yes? Oh no. We can only be in the green oasis of Skylarks Garden, created over the last 10 years or so, often using reclaimed and recycled materials, where planting and self-seeding has been a gradual evolution rather than a grand scheme with a rigid design, and where nature continues to delight, surprise, and sometimes puzzle. This year there's the mystery of the meadow's missing oxeye daisies to solve. So let's meet the three wonderful custodians and creators of the garden. Gertie.
Hello.
And Ellie.
Hello.
And Rex.
Hello there.
Before we all get together for more Skylarks chatter, Ellie's going to take us on a main garden tour for the highlights and challenges that will resonate with gardeners everywhere. Love is in the air at the pond. We'll also catch up with flowering in the front garden and find out about the rescued and recycled plants and materials used at Skylarks.
I love all these daisies as well.
Yes, well it's supposed to be the entire meadow, but something weird has happened, is that they're only growing in the bits in the lawn and the pathways, so we haven't bothered to mow. I mean, all these edge bits are meant to be mowed as pathways, but we've had to leave them because that's the only place where the meadow's properly growing. It's become much too dominated by grass. So the plan, I think, is at the end of the season, when I use the strimmer on this meadow, which I can tell you is a nightmare, is then for Mum to go over it really low with the mower and to see if they respond better to that, because they obviously prefer lawn to meadow, which is weird given they're meadow plants.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work, we'll maybe alternate between having lawn and having meadow. So leaving some unmowed regularly and some mowed regularly. Because normally that lawn area there, where we've got all the buttercups, normally we would mow that every few weeks or something, but we've left it this year because it's the only bit that's got the meadow plants in it. That's definitely an orchid. Yeah, if I see it. Mum will know. I did plant some giant alliums, which obviously just haven't got enough sun because it's too dense. Planted loads of them. So I was going to try and break up the meadow with, some of these bright sort of magenta-y colours. Monty Don suggested it. Of course, his soil is lovely and delicious. Not at all like him. Not like ours.
It's amazing.
Look, the snowball trees kissing the hawthorn.
Both these shrubs were hot on the Chelsea Flower Show designers' plant lists this year, and we think kissing the hawthorn is a very resonant phrase for our times as we rethink ways to sustain wildlife in the garden and embrace native plants as encouraged in the show gardens at RHS Chelsea this year. However, in June, the show stealer is undeniably the snowball tree in all its magnificence, when the fresh green flowers of May have given way to white brilliance with soft pink washers. To retain a smaller bush, it can be cut back by a third each year after flowering, and if the stems of cut blooms are seared in boiling water, the flowers will last a fortnight.
Sicilian honey garlic. Well, look, you can see the bees going into those candelabra things.
Yeah.
I love that.
If you were a flower, a plant or a tree, what would you be and why?
That's a really hard question.
I
Do
know.
you have an answer?
I know.
I'm stalling.
An oak.
You're
'Cause
pretty solid, aren't you?
I'm big and it lasts a long time and pretty strong, and it gives it a tremendous amount of life to other things, of course, that live in an oak tree. Birds and insects, mosses and all sorts grow on.
It's a city for wildlife, basically, isn't it?
Well
And
said.
A vertical
Well said.
city for
It's a
wildlife.
city for wildlife.
Yeah.
So I'd like to be one
that's
of
an
those.
excellent answer.
Yeah.
Ellie, what would
Well,
you
I
be?
guess I would be something a bit more flimsy than that. I don't know. It's so hard to say. Something understated, I think. I think maybe I'd be the honeysuckle on the wood pile, because you've got the wood to sort of lean back on, so you can have a little rest.
I love it.
And you're there amongst the all the action as well, but you don't have to do anything yourself. So that sounds quite nice.
And wonderful creatures.
Lots of gorgeous little Jenny wrens, hedgehogs, and the rabbits, and the cat likes to snuggle outside the honeysuckle. So that's not far off my life as it is.
That sounds perfect. Here's Ellie's early spring footage of the woodpile rabbits playing in the flower beds. Although grazing rabbits can damage and even kill young trees, shrubs and herbaceous plants, many UK scientists now recognise them as a keystone species. Their grazing and digging activity keeps the ground in a condition that helps sustain other plant and animal species.
And Gertie?
I've no idea.
A forget-me-not.
No, you'd be something special.
She's special.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
An Aquilegia.
And Aquilegia. You're beautiful.
Also very fitting for Gertie, because historically Aquilegia represents strength, wisdom and intellect.
There are lots of these little damselflies. They're mating earlier today.
They're really pretty.
The water lilies look so perfect as well.
Oh, a lot of these little midges there, aren't they?
Yeah.
But that's what's feeding, that's what's keeping. It's like
Yeah.
what I thought of was, you know, when you go to Yo Sushi and it goes around like this on the conveyor and then you choose what you want. Those flies are like the conveyor and then the newt comes up, eats one and then goes back down. It's brilliant.
But look, the water's supposed to come up to the edges, but
It's been dry actually, hasn't it?
already it's dried out. And I have emptied one water butt 2/3 of it just to get it up to this
Just to
level.
fill it.
But there's not enough shade. We didn't think that through when Mum positioned it here.
Yeah,
Didn't realise that it would need ideally to be a lot more shaded.
yeah.
This stuff on the surface is blanket weed. That's not meant to be there. I mean, earlier on I was lifting it out, but then I lifted out the baby newts by mistake,
no.
and I thought I had to quickly put it back in and say, right, I'm not gonna touch it anymore because I don't want to disturb the wildlife. If I wanted to plant more things in, which I, sometimes fantasise about if I had more time and energy, but would that disrupt the plants that are already there, digging up the earth, trying to fit something in? I don't know if that would actually do more harm than good.
I think they probably adjust because you've got such fertile soil here. So I think if you had thin, non-nutrient rich soil, it probably would be difficult. I don't think here it would be a problem.
If it ain't bust, don't fix it.
Well, there is room for development in the garden. When you don't maintain the garden or the house, you can see how quickly it would turn into an archaeological site because everything disintegrates and you get everything sinks into the ground. All the nice little stone borders I've got around the rockery, they're gradually sinking into the ground and will get subsumed, and then everything just produces a new layer of soil. Like all these plants in the patio, they've kind of encroached. It used to have a really defined border, but now it's gradually getting encroached by the plants because they're taking over. We like it like that.
Well, amongst the trees that started to grow in the back garden were tiny little oak trees, and we had to remove them because they'd grow far too
Huge,
big.
great
But
beasts.
it was nice to see that they were still.
Well, there's
Growing when they
one
got the
big oak
chance.
tree on the hedge towards the road at the bottom. There is an oak tree along the stream. But yes, dozens of these little things, and they would ruin the garden because they'd spread everywhere.
But you can see how if you just neglected it for a decade, say, it would start to be like an archaeological site. You wouldn't be able to tell.
So all your hard work would just be invisible. It'd be nature sort of just swapping out your boundaries.
Modern radar, they'd be able to go over your garden and tell that there was paths where all our big stones mark out stuff and all the rest. They'd find them nowadays.
They'd find it, but you'd have to get an archaeologist in.
If archaeologists were to come back and excavate 100 years from now, they would find a very rare type of stone in Rex's collection, a kind which make up only about 1% of rocks in the world, and they're called conglomerates. So those are the kind of things that I would walk past at the beach and assume they'd just come off a broken base of a pier or something. Yeah. So what are the materials inside?
It's usually the cement that it was floating in. As I say, it could be the bottom of an ocean, bottom of a river.
But only your expert eye would select the right one, because I'd go home with a lump of real concrete with bits shoved in it.
I didn't know any of this till we were at White Sands in Pembrokeshire. There's a cave with conglomerate rocks as big as this table.
We love the lush, ferny, secluded atmosphere of Safi's secret alley. This section of the garden makes a beautifully colourful summer display to enjoy as passers-by walk along the pavement.
Curry plant, I'm not sure if it's this one or this one over there. Anyway, they're all from the same mother. Got them from the skip in the recycling place. Somebody threw away a pot just because it split. The pot was split, but it still had a living plant in it. So I just ducked in to save the plant and to get the broken pot, because you can use the broken pots in lots of ways in the garden. And now we've got about 3 or 4 around the garden from that one plant, and they've done really well. They like the clay, and to think it's going to be
Just be trash.
That's such a nice story.
Yeah, we've salvaged quite a lot of materials from the dump. You can't see them now because the garden is more overgrown, but like the borders and keeping the weeds down, things like that. We've used lots of old tiles, old bricks, broken bits of pot. For drainage we've used, and they've all come from the dump.
Brilliant.
We've got things from boot fairs as well, like that sunken pond there, the sort of Belfast square one. That came from a boot fair. And the dogs as well, they all came from boot fairs. I think it's sprung a leak though, because it seems to be the water level goes down very quickly.
It's lovely. As I walk around, I get a sense of little gardens within the big garden.
Yeah.
Until next time, it's goodbye from Gertie.
Goodbye.
And Ellie.
Bye.
And last but not least, Rex.
Ta-ra, Rabbit.